This is Carl at National RV Detroit. I'm going to walk you through this 2022 Salem Model 27 RK. This is a how-to video, so I'm just going to show you some of the features and how they work, okay? So, here we are at the door side rear. You can see you have your water heater here. Let me just set this down. The thing to remember about this water heater, there's a rocker switch right here, if you can see that. This rocker switch controls the electric heating element that's behind that cover. So you can turn that element on and off right there. There are also switches inside the trailer that I'll show you, but keep in mind that that switch is there. This works on gas and electric, of course. To drain this, you use this plug right here. It takes an 1 1/16" 6-point socket with about a 6-inch extension and a ratchet or a breaker, whatever you have to break it free. So there's also an anode rod attached to it, so it's you know, it's long. It's maybe 6 or 8 inches long, I'm not sure, but keep that in mind, okay? That's your pressure release valve. Never release the pressure or take this plug out when there's pressure in the, or let's say never take this plug out when there's pressure in the system. Obviously it'll shoot out of there like a cannonball. And never work on it when the water is hot. Always wait till it cools down. You don't want to scold yourself. So keep that in mind too. All right. So you have regular scissor type stabilizers. You get a crocket. That's a combination of a crank and a socket is a crocket. You get a socket that goes on a drill, so you can crank it. Also keep in mind that these yellow devices here are called strong arms. They just take some of the forward and rearward movement out of it when you have to stabilize it. So you got to remember that you have one of these T-handles here. Always have it loose, so when you're raising and lowering the stabilizers, once you get it stabilized, they're down and you get the trailer in the position you want it, then you can tighten this up and it keeps this inner piece from sliding in the outer piece, so it takes away that frontward and rearward movement. So just remember to loosen them back up before you raise the jack. So there's 4 jacks obviously and 4 strong arms. So keep that in mind, please. This is a spray port here. You get a sprayer with this, a coiled sprayer, and that's where you plug that in. Keep in mind that this right here is the vent for the range hood. So if you're going to be venting to the outside, you always want to free this baffle up so it flaps freely, right? You can shut it, snap it shut so it won't flap. You know, you do that when you're traveling or in storage, but anytime you want to vent, you got to make sure that baffle's open and freely flapping. You get a long awning with LED lights on it. It's power awning, so you don't have to use the awning rod. You just push the button. Okay. Here we have a refrigerator. Just an AC refrigerator. This is your sprayer that I told you about right here. Okay. Alright. Also you have a griddle here. Now the griddle has to be plugged in. The LP line has to be plugged in. So you can see right there with the blue cap on it, that's your quick connect fitting for the LP line. You pull this out. This is your LP fitting right here. So the male end will go into that quick connect under the trailer, and then this quick connect here will go right here on the back of the griddle. So you have to plug that in, obviously to get LP gas to it. All right. So moving on, you have outside speakers, of course. This is the fresh water tank fill here. The most common way to get water to the trailer is obviously with city water. Most places have city water. But if you don't have that, you can pre-fill this tank right here and use the onboard pump to pump the water. So even if you don't have city water, everything, all the plumbing will work as if you pre-fill your fresh water tank. Now there's also a drain for this tank. Let's see if we can see it from here. Sometimes they're in really tight spots. Right there, that white gate valve right there, that's how you would dump the fresh water tank if you still have some in it and you want to travel. Alright, so you have a TV signal out right here and power if you wanted to set a TV out here. Of course, the legs on your stairs move up and down independently. You just push this metal piece up and you can move the legs. Okay. You have pass-through storage here. You have this crank here. This smaller crank is for the power tongue jack in case it fails. So you have a power tongue jack here. If in case it fails, you can pull this rubber plug out, put the crank on there and crank it manually to get yourself out of trouble. Alrighty. Now, this here has to do with using the awning in an emergency. You have to read up about that and look at the videos in order to do it. It's something you really have to, be looking at it while you're doing it. But it is possible. And of course, this is the socket, the 3/4 inch socket that goes into your drill, so you can crank the stabilizers manually. Okay. Alrighty. So this is your hitch. It's a Husky centerline weight distribution hitch with built-in sway control. I'll show you how that operates when you pick up. You have 2 LP tanks which are full, deep cycle marine battery, and this right here is the kill switch for the battery. If you want to shut it off when you put it into storage, for example, you can disconnect it right here. Okay, dump hose here that comes with it. This is a reducer to reduce your 30 amp cord down to a 20 amp plug, so you could plug it in at home if you needed to while you're packing it up or something like that. Okay, city water hookup right here. Remember I showed you on the other side you could fill the fresh water tank. This is the most common way right here is the city water hookup, so you just hook the hose on there and you're all set. This is a black tank flush. So you have your valves here. So that's the gray valve, which is sink and shower water, and that's the black valve, which is toilet water and waste. So you would dump your black tank, leave the valve open. It's important to leave the valve open. It's like it says on this sticker here. You leave the valve open, then you hook the hose at the dump station on there, turn it on, it'll spray the inside of your black tank out, it'll clean off the sensors, that sort of thing. Okay? Your slide room. This is your 30 foot 30 amp power cord right here. That's just cable and satellite through. Okay, and this housing here tells us it's pre-wired for a backup camera, so you can always add a backup camera. And this thing here is for a telescoping. Anyway, it's a ladder that expands. You store it, and then if you want to get up on the roof, you hook it up there and it expands out. Okay, the ladder is something you have to purchase separately, but they put that piece on there to entice you to get it. While we're looking up, keep in mind that the manufacturer states that you should inspect your roof every 90 days. So you want to go up there or have somebody go up there. Be very careful, of course. Look at all the sealant to make sure there's no cracking or separation where water can get in. Look at the roofing material and roofing attachments. Make sure they weren't damaged by low branches or road debris flipping up there, something like that. So you do that, and you stay ahead of the game. Odds are you won't have to do anything for a long time, but that's why you inspect it, just to make sure, and you protect your investment, and if anything happens, you're ahead of it, okay? Thank you. That's important to do. Most people, generally speaking, don't inspect the roof enough, so it's really an important thing to do when it comes to regular trailer maintenance. All right. Okay. So here we are inside. Here we are at the control panel. This is just a light dimmer. You can see you just push your thumb over it, turn it on and off. Let me shut the water heater off. This switch is for your electric water heater right here. I showed you the switch on the outside. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me take that back. I showed you the switch for the electric water heater outside, right? lower left-hand corner. This is for gas, to light it on gas right there. So that's how you do it, and that's your fault light right there. Your water pump, turn it on and off. Your lights in here, you can see there's some lights plus your awning light for your power awning. Alright. Your slide out switch here. See, it brings it in and out. The slide out is the type that drops into place. It comes in over the floor, but when you put it out, it drops into place there. When you hear that ratcheting sound, you know to take your finger off the button. This one here is for your awning, so you can see it go out. And then you can bring it back in, obviously. I'm just going to send it out right now and let the sun hit it. So that's the power awning right there. Now, these are for your levels. You can check your battery here; it's totally charged. Your fresh water has has 2/3 in it, but we're still prepping. Black is empty, gray is empty. Second gray tank, which is called a galley tank, that's for your kitchen sink back there. That's empty. Basically, these graduate up in 1/3 increments. Once you get past 2/3, you got to start thinking about dumping the gray and the black tank. Okay. Alrighty, so there should be remotes for this stuff here. Let me look over here and see where they put them. Let's look here. It might still be in the package. It depends on who prepped the trailer, and that's what it comes down to. This is your remote for your fireplace. It's a touch-up crayon and marker. This is your sound bar remote here. So, okay. So when it comes to your sound bar, you have an FM radio, no AM, just FM. You can stream off USB right here. Just I'll put all your favorite albums or whatever on a USB stick and take it with you. This HDMI is an in, so if you got a TV up here and you want to go into the system with a portable Blu-ray player, for example, you'd set it right here, plug it in here, and then you would go into the system there and make it real simple. It also has Bluetooth, so you can hook up wirelessly and stream from your phone to your tablet. 2 speaker zones, 1 and 2. 1 is inside the trailer, 2 is outside the trailer. So it does everything you need and more. Now this is where your TV would hook up here, and it should always be green when you're using the antenna. You can shut it off, but this is the digital signal booster for your antenna. So you always want that on or you won't get a good picture. Now this is telling you this is pre-wired for a Wi-Fi signal booster for public Wi-Fi. You can go to kingconnect.com and look at their different packages. I don't know if they still have what they have. I haven't looked lately because it changes, but you want to get the package with a router that sits here and with the antenna on the roof. There'll be another place on the roof where you can access the wires to hook up an antenna, and it's basically would just give you better public Wi-Fi. All your devices would hook to the router, and then your router would, through the antenna, would connect to the public Wi-Fi. Just a really good booster. Okay, so that's what they're talking about there. Down here, with this remote here, is your fireplace. So let me see what we have here. Okay, so you can, let's see what we got here. Low, that's the fan speed. High, okay, so you have different fan speeds. But you can also change the color of the crystals, like that. And you can change the color of the flame. So I'm going to go with this. Red flame and white crystals. That seems to look pretty good. So and it also has a timer on it. So there's a lot you can do with it. Right now it's really kicking out the heat. It's a great space heater. So it works off regular electricity when you're plugged in at your campsite. So when it's not cold enough outside to run the furnace, you have a limited supply of LP gas. So those days when you don't quite need to run the furnace, you can just turn this on and take the chill out, and you're just using electricity instead of campground electricity instead of your limited supply of LP gas. Okay, shut it off. Okay, let me put this other one right here too. Okay. Theater seats. Now down here, this is where your water pump is, and your the inlet, the hose to draw the antifreeze out of the gallon jug into the system. So that's all located down there. There's 4 screws here, and there. All the screws in here are number 2 square-headed screws. So you got to get a bit for your drill if you don't have it, number 2 square. Also over, I'm not exactly sure where it was. I'm trying to picture it in my mind here. Let's see, I'm looking here. Maybe it's behind here. Anyway, there's another panel that comes off for your water heater, so you can do the valves on the back of the water heater. I didn't prep this trailer, but it's there. I'm going to take this sticker off because it's not winterized anymore. It's de-winterized. These are your keys hanging right here, of course. Okay, so where did I leave off? So theater seats, and remember that this trailer probably has 2 GFCIs here, like this one. All the plugs in the trailer are wired through a GFCI, even the one on the outside. So if the plug is not a GFCI, it's still wired through one. So you reset it here, and we'll look in the bathroom. There's usually another one there. So we'll check that out. Okay, so you have shades. Okay, there's storage underneath here. Plus you can jackknife this flat to turn it into a bed. All right. You can also drop this table onto the cleats and turn it into a bed. This you can move around. You can move it over to here. So there's another bracket here, and you can use, obviously then you would have 2 seats for the 2 dinette benches, right? Right now they've got it configured for a longer bed, I guess, but you can move it around. This thing here shows you the different configurations here. Okay. So, but anyway, you have two beds out here anyway. Let's see what else we have here. Okay, microwave works like any other microwave. Now, this is the range hood I told you about. If you're going to vent by using a fan, you want to open that baffle on the outside, like I told you. It also has a LED light on it. Always open the vent. Always travel with your cover in the down position, because it tends to break if you leave it up like that. I don't know if he has the gas turned on or not, so we'll see. This is the sparker. You turn it clockwise to spark it. You got 3 knobs here and 3 burners, and then the last one is for the oven. So let's just see if he's got it turned on. Yeah, there you go. So it's that simple. Okay. Now, there are lights for this here, right? You got an ambient light plus an oven light, but down here, all the way at the back, is a pilot light. Let me see if we can see it spark. Yeah, so you see it sparking back there. So what you do is let me get back up here, hold on. You go to the oven knob, you go to the picture of the flame, which means pilot, then you depress it. You keep it depressed during the whole lighting procedure. Then you're going to spark with your left hand until you see the flame light down here. After it lights, you still hold it in for another 10 or 15 seconds to heat up the thermocouple. Then you're going to go to operating temperature, and it cycles as an oven does. When you shut it off, the flame goes out, but so does the pilot light. So you have to relight the pilot light each time you use the oven. Okay. Moving along. Your refrigerator is a 12-volt DC refrigerator. So it's a compressor refrigerator just like you would have at home, except this one runs on DC power instead of AC power. Always keep this in like that so you don't dent your doors. Alright, so this device here is your carbon monoxide LP gas detector. It should always be green. If it's not, get it serviced. It's very important. If it goes off, you take everybody outside, leave the door open, shut the gas up at the front, figure out what's going on. Like I said, it detects carbon monoxide buildup or LP gas leak. This is your power converter here. So when you're plugged into shore power at the campground, this is your distribution center right here for AC power. You got regular circuit breakers like you'd have at home, right? And then they're all labeled, of course. Then the power is converted to 12-volt DC over on this side. So you got 12-volt fuses, and they're labeled. There's also little LEDs there. So if any of these were to blow, they actually light up. You can see them through that plastic. These 240s are the masters. Now, if you ever have a wild power surge at the campground or a lightning strike or something and your 12-volt side goes out,
always look at these two here, these 240s, because they're just doing their job. That's what they're supposed to do. So that's almost always where the problem would be. Okay. Also, this is a battery tender. So when you're plugged in, it's going to sense how much energy your battery up front has and needs, and if it's topped off, it'll just trickle a couple amps to maintain it. If it's low, it'll send 10 amps or whatever it needs to charge the battery up front. That's why you're plugged in. Of course, when you're pulling it down the road, your tow vehicle's alternator will charge the battery. So, okay. So the refrigerator will run off the battery as long as the battery is being charged. So when you're pulling it down the road, you could run your refrigerator. Just keep in mind that you have to have a charge line on your tow vehicle, which you should have, and it works fine. Okay. Pantry. Okay, I think I got everything out in this room here. Let me go look. I just glossed over the thermostat here. The thermostat is, you hit the mode bar there to light it up, then you go through the options. Fan is just the air conditioner running without the compressor. Cool is the air conditioner. Always use the fan on auto if they give you a choice. And of course, furnace is your LP furnace, or heat is your LP furnace. Alright, so your sink and shower work like any other sink and shower. No GFCI here, so that must be the one up there, might be the only one. Okay. Alright, so and you have a fan up here also. So, in case you don't know, with an RV toilet, you have a flush pedal right here. Right. The black tank is directly below. Right. So, what you do after you hook up your power and your water, you'll come in here, you put 1 dose of chemical in the bowl, and then you stand on the pedal long enough to put a gallon of water in the tank. You can put more in. Gallon's sort of the minimum. The bottom line is you have to have chemical and water in the tank before you start using it. You can't use it dry. If you do, the smell will be terrible, super terrible, and it can also get clogged up. So always never use a dry black tank. Always start off with chemical and water in it. That's important, of course. Alrighty, so up here in the bedroom, you have storage under here. It goes all the way to your pass-through storage, plus you got some bins here. You have a heating duct. All the heating ducts are on the floor. The AC ducts are in the ceiling. You have TV hookups here, and you got a backer here for a bracket, so you could put a TV there so you could see it from laying in bed there. A nice size closet to hang things in, which is unusual in the trailer. It's a really good feature. So you have that, and then just the rest of the stuff is self-evident. You have your USB chargers, that sort of thing. This is your escape window. In an emergency, you'll push this all the way through. Then you would grab a hold of the tab, pull the screen out, and exit that way. Okay. Alrighty. So let me look around to see if I forgot anything. I think we pretty much got it here. So, okay. So I want to thank you for purchasing your trailer here at National RV Detroit. Please remember what I said about the manufacturer states checking the roof seals and just the roof in general every 90 days. Also, this has been de-winterized, so all the antifreeze has been purged from the system. The water heater is not in bypass anymore. It's in camping mode. It's filled with fresh water, so you're all set, ready to go. Okay? Thank you.